Our plans are to convert our underused sunroom into a dining and game room. Our design calls for closing off the door to the bedroom and making a new opening into the great room. So we started off by selling the hot tub and moving the redwood planters out. Our contractor is Steve Bovey, and after weeks of designing and permitting, we're ready to get started. It didn't take long for the sunroom to come down. Our plans call for adding 3 inches of concrete to raise the height of the old sunroom floor, making it match the rest of the house. This is after 1 day of demo. They still have 1 day to go to take down the stucco and build the frames for the concrete. The next day, they're already ready for framing.
Me mato para mantener la casa. ¿Y qué con el vecino, eh? Yo tenía mi alma.
Up until now, all the work has been done by the same team. But now Gerardo Quesada takes over the roofing. Here are a bush in the corners, totally covered by shingles. Luckily, I was able to dig it out and save some of it. Here Marianne's looking at the transition from the old roof to the new addition. There's a small difference in the two roofs that you can see as this line, but it's only visible for a few minutes in the late afternoon sun. They offer to take the roof up to try and level it out. Since it was only visible for a few minutes of the day, and probably only when the winter sun matched the pitch of the roof, we decided to leave it the way it was. Another thing we added to the house are ridge vents. These will help keep our attic cooler. Because of changes to our 9-foot ceiling to add more insulation, they had to move the supporting beam they put in during framing. After a week's delay, our windows have finally arrived, and we can now button up the new addition. Now that the windows are in, they can cut open the arched openings into the new room. To help keep the dust out of the rest of the house, they put up what's called a zip wall. That, along with a fan, is supposed to help keep things clean. Here they're installing the metal lathing, which is in preparation for the first layer of stucco, which is called the brown coat, which is actually gray, and will give us protection from the weather. While they're installing insulation in the new room, we're having them add more to the attic. In preparation, we added walkways and boxes, so we can still use the area for storage. While the house is a mess, we decided to take on a project we've been meaning to do for quite a while. We wanted to remove the carpeting from the master bath toilet and replace it with tile. So we got out our old tile saw and dug in. They finally installed the brown coat, the first layer of stucco, just in time to protect us from the weather. And what weather it was! Barbecue. We're putting in tile that looks like wood flooring in the new room. Since I was wanting a wood floor and Marianne tile, we compromised. I got the wood look I was looking for, and Marianne the low maintenance of a tile. Since these tiles are so long, the floor has to be very flat. And during the first day they were laying the tiles, they found that it was dipping too much. So the next day they decided to take up what they had already laid down and re-level the floor. So after a day's delay, the floor started going down. Because there's a small difference in height between the old room and the new, they have to pull up some of our old tile. Luckily, we have some spares. One thing we noticed that in certain areas the grout was drying into a gray color instead of the dark brown that we selected. So they brought in a special grout doctor, who sealed and restained the grout to the proper color. The gutters took extra time to come in, since we didn't know at the time the color we ordered was a special order. But the match to our existing gutters was pretty good. So with a full dumpster, that marks the end of construction.